Hey, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. Thanks for joining me.
Sure, man. Thanks for having me.
You've been what's been keeping you busy today? Have you had much going on?
Uh, no, I mean at the moment I'm free.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Nothing,
I
nothing
mean.
too pressing.
No, it's been yeah, I mean, just got a bunch of stuff. Came from band practice and yeah.
Considering how busy you normally are, and obviously all the things you got to do and confess, and how dominating that is to your life. What does a normal day kind of look like for you? And I mean, with that, what I mean is where you haven't got anything band related or music to think about.
Yeah, it's a very good question. I mean, I think it's kind of healthy to have other aspects of your life kind of, keep on going with your music career. For me, it was always a challenge to kind of find a balance between the confess, everything that we're doing, and other things. But for example, at the moment, I am working with a production company that we're setting up events, concerts like with big names, from Billie Eilish to Volbeat to all of that, like arena, stadium concerts,
Hmm.
which is one of the things that I enjoy because I would love to do production. I've done production assistant, stuff like that. Uh, and also, the other side is that I write articles. I worked with organizations like Safe Muse and all that, which they advocate for artistic freedom and things like that. So I try to somehow give back to the music community somehow, because if I'm not on that stage, I would like to see other artists go on that stage. So it is kind of like, I think, important for me to stay in that zone
Hmm.
uh, to be in the music industry sometimes this side of the barricade, sometimes on the other side.
No matter what it is, what's going on, music surrounds you basically in some way or another.
Exactly.
Okay, well, if we just focusing just on Confess, what a year, right? What an incredible year it's been. Have you had a
Yes.
chance to sort of sit back and kind of take it all in?
As you can imagine, sometimes it's hard because
Mm.
you just work and work and work, and you see that it's starting to paying off. And it is a very surreal moment when sometimes you see that uh, some of this stuff happens. For example, earlier this year, we released our latest album called Destination Addiction, and we had the honor of working with the great George Kollias, the
Mm.
drummer of Nile. He did the drums, and he's definitely one of my all-time favorite drummers. He's
A
amazing and
machine.
great, great guy. He's a fucking machine, exactly. And he brought so much to the record. It was a very uh, I learned a lot from that process, So someone that we look up to and
Mm.
his professionalism as a person, he's a great guy. And it all came together after we went on tour with Nile almost a year and a half ago, and we got to know each other more. And he was very interested in working with metal band from Iran. He knew us from before, so when we came, like, to meet each other, well, he mentioned that he would like to do that, and basically came up with the idea. And
Mm.
it's a very long story, but at the end, it was one of the highlights of the year for me. Definitely the album that we really are proud of, and of course the Into the Void docu-series that just came out like a month ago,
Yeah.
uh, on Hulu, Disney Plus, and the release of the our second album, the reissue of their second album, In Pursuit of Dreams, that is coming out on November 7th.
Mm.
So
Incredible. I mean,
yeah, a
it's
lot of stuff, exactly. And it's just been like 11 months, almost 11 months now. So we did like two albums on one documentary.
not bad, not bad. And there's such a wave of positivity as well surrounding it at the moment, kind of pushing the bad onwards and upwards. What does it mean to you to kind of feel that positivity surrounding you?
Of course, it's very motivating because, there's always we all need a refill every once in a while. It doesn't matter what we do. It's there are obstacles, there are challenges, struggles, and we're human. Sometimes we feel like, oh, I'm tired and whatnot. But I kind of learned how to take a rest, not to quit, and it is very important to have those moments that you kind of like sit back and just see it as it is. And us musicians, we tend to be a little crazy sometimes, impatient. We really what we want, from our music, from our career, whatever. And it's important to kind of like understand yourself and kind of like look at your achievements or whatever you've done, because it doesn't matter what we do, at the end of the day you have to look back and see that, damn, I'm doing so. Just the fact that I know how to play a guitar, it means
Mhm.
that I reached my dream as a kid, and more than that, it's just bonus, so it's very important to sometimes just try to enjoy it. I'm not saying I'm the most successful guy when it comes to that, but I've learned a lot about that, and but being friend with a lot of great musicians and like taking advice from them, I've learned that sometimes when you just burn out or you kind of like have a lack of motivation, or when you're beating your guitar and no, not anything special coming out of that,
Mm.
just put it away, take some time, and come back to it, and it's there, it's there. It just takes some time.
That's something you've kind of learned through time and experience, right? When you're younger, you don't have that level of patience.
Exactly, exactly. I remember first day I bought a guitar, I was super happy, but like an hour later I was disappointed because I thought as long as I plug in, I can play whatever I could hear Slayer was playing, right? And I was like,
Yeah.
oh no, it's gonna take a long time to get there, to be able to not only play those songs, but also you write your own songs and get better. But yeah, life learned me how to be patient by force. It
Mhm.
forced me to be patient. And it was not in the most pleasant ways, but I think it's very important to learn that.
Of course. I mean, that's what's so intriguing that of you going back to your second album in Pursuit of Dreams. You're re-releasing that November 7th, 2025. A few more days as the time of recording. Where's your head at with it right now? Like releasing a brand new record is a different mindset to remastering and putting unreleased tracks out there. But does that come with its own kind of nervousness regardless?
It is. It's kind of, first of all, is that just going back and remastering the record. Of course, you sit down and you read all the lyrics and listen to all the songs, and through that process, it's like it's kind of hard to describe it, but I just trying to do my best. It's kind of like you get to meet yourself again, because
Mm,
this year, and and I was like, wow, I learned a lot about all the struggles that I was facing as a how old was I back then? I was like or like 20 years old. I'm
mm,
32 now. Like back then I was like more like 20 something, like 22. I was like going back and just think about it. You're like a lot of things that I was talking about. It was kind of like a reflection of where I was at in my life and all the things that I was experiencing. And then later on it got darker, and all the stuff that happened to us as a band, and literally like we had to put the music aside and like fight for our freedom basically. And then it's it was very interesting for me to kind of like remember those days.
mm.
Of course, sometimes it's kind of hard, and like reading those lyrics is like, wow, it's pretty deep. But at the same time, it was refreshing because you could see that all the progress that has been made, all the things that got solved, all the things that got somehow figured out, and of course, in a technical level, remastering it, giving a fresh life, and bringing it back and like representing it to people that maybe don't know those songs and whatnot. It is pretty exciting because
Mm.
you still have to remember that a lot of people haven't heard those songs. A lot of people that are starting to getting to know you, and they might not really know those albums, as good as the last one that we just released. So my answer is that yeah, it is a different type of feeling, but it's definitely exciting.
Did you? I mean, you described looking back and going back to it as being. Did you recognize yourself? Did you have a feeling like moment where you were just like, I don't recognize who this person was?
Yes. I definitely felt like some of the parts of some certain songs, I was like, it's kind of like meeting someone that you were close to when you were a kid, and you meet them again. You know them, but you kind of don't know them. You know what I mean?
Mm,
It was kind of like that feeling. It was kind of like we were close once back in the days, but we haven't met in a very long time, and it felt that way for sure. It was like, um, this kid is very angry and frustrated, and he just wants to let it out and just speak about his thoughts and his emotions. And just the fact that this album was 14 songs plus three unreleased that is coming out as a bonus track, it tells you a lot. It was a lot to say. An album with 17 songs
hmm.
that initially was around 22, 23 songs. We just scrapped two, three of them. And at the end, we recorded 17 songs. And the reason why we didn't put those three songs in the album, because back in the days, we were printing CDs, and CD couldn't contain more than 70 minutes or whatnot. And it was
Yep.
more than that. So we had to put them out. And it was like, Jesus, like, and a lot of topics that was discussed on the record was pretty personal, besides of the political message and all that. It was very personal. So I still face some of those struggles, like personal struggles, but of course, like looking back is kind of like it's a very interesting moment when you sit back and like really like listen to those songs again after 10 years. It definitely felt different.
That's a good. I feel like that's a good thing though, right? Because it would have been. I mean, would have been maybe horrible almost to a degree had you felt the same as perhaps like as you did 10 years ago in those, and the fact that things have evolved and things have changed, in positive ways for you. Obviously not everything, but
Yes,
some things have changed. So like that's a plus. That's a positive.
definitely, definitely. It's like in the middle of fire and fury, you're listening to all of that, but it's kind of like this feeling of, oh, I can be that guy for a second and see the future, that what it's going to
Mm,
be like in 10 years, what I'm going to go through, which I had no idea 10 years ago. But
of
now that
course.
I'm here, it's like time traveling. It's a pretty weird thing. I mean, I never really thought about this because it's the first time that we're reissuing an old album. And now I can imagine that it is it's its own thing, It's compilation albums, the remastered records has its own life, and
Mm.
it might be a very kind of like a personal journey for the artist to do that again.
It feels like it's not something actually that's talked about often. It's kind of just seen as like a remastering, a re-release is just a quick, simple job and it's done. It doesn't, but what the artist goes through, as you're describing, is something we don't hear enough about.
Yeah, because I mean, obviously for those records, you don't write songs, you don't really like do those post productions and all that stuff. You just remaster the record, and one of the things that we actually did on this album is that we changed the order of the tracks, so we
Yeah.
came up with a new track list because I was like, I think this time around I have a different narrative in my head that
Mm.
I'm gonna represent, you know, through this whole order. And yeah, it for me, I never really thought about it, but it's a very special thing when you like reissue your old album, and it's a very interesting experience.
Well, the question has got to be is why you decided to do this. Of course, this is a very seminal moment in your career, like in Confessor's life. So we've got that and the fact that it's 10 years. But like, was there any other reason why you decided to do this?
We knew from at least like 2 years ago that this album needs to be like brought back, and
Mm.
there are a couple of reasons for it. First of all, is that 10 years ago, me and my bandmate Arash, we got arrested for our music in Iran, and went through a very like lengthy and torturous process of this lawsuit with the government because of our songs and our lyrics and all that.
Hmm.
So it was a very special album, and the reason why that rest happened was this album. And 2 weeks after we released this album, we were in jail. two
Yeah.
weeks, and we never really had a chance to like promote it or talk about it or do anything. And I still like, as a part of the previous question, I still like, I was talking with Arash, my bandmate, a few weeks ago. I was like, after listening to this record again, I still feel like I wrote some of my best riffs and some of my best songs in that album, to the
Yeah.
point that I kind of don't know if I'd be able to do that again. So it,
Mm.
it it is an album that even musically, I think it stands out, and it was a very album for the region, for the not only us or Tehran or Iran, but for the region, from Middle East to have an album, and that album definitely put us on the map. And just the fact that we could, I remember once I was talking with Alyssa from Arch Enemy, and she said your music should have been very special because it's the fact that you scared a government to come and shut you up. It kind of speaks for itself that there was
Mm.
something in there that they felt so in danger that they have to come and shut this down, doesn't matter what. And I was like thinking about it. I was like, yeah, to be honest, with that type of treatment that we got, I felt like they taught me much more than my best friend could do, you know. And I was like, all right, so this is really like making an impact. And that was a very important record, and
Mm.
all these reasons was like the 10th year of our harassment, and not being able to really like do justice while we could. And of course, the documentary came along very like we had the plan that we're gonna
Yeah.
do this, but at the same time, the release and even the making of this documentary, the offer that came and all that, it just happened at the same time. So I think it was all for the good reason.
And it's incredible how it's all worked out as well. And we've got to this particular stage because one of the things that I'm so excited about is hearing and meeting people who are going to experience this album for the first time. Maybe they know a little bit about your story. Maybe they've done some reading, maybe they've seen the documentary, but they haven't heard this album, which, when put in conjunction with everything else, it's different. What do you kind of hope those listeners, the ones that are coming to it for the first time, maybe take away from the album?
That's a very good question. I mean, I think the biggest thing is that we can achieve from the listener is to feel the rawness of the record, because it's a very raw record, and it was made with like, as you can imagine, a lot of difficulties, and not only because of the environment that we're working on, but also equipment, because we, of
Mhm.
course, we didn't have what we have over here, right? And so it was very honest, and all the anger and frustration that is in the record, it's more like a documentary in a way. It's like
Mm.
time that we were writing or recording an album, we were like, it's a very visceral record. It's a very honest record, and I would love it if the listener could be able to tap into that mode. And and of course, I mean, I do believe that this album has a lot of potential and a lot of good songs. And of course, we still, play some of the songs when we stage. And I would love them to, for those who don't know these songs, to sit back and listen to it and be like, oh my God, that was a hidden gem. I didn't know about this album. I knew Evan, Revenge at All Costs, Destination Addiction, but okay, these guys had an album 2015 that they went to jail for it.
Mm.
So it has to be something special. So yeah, I think that the biggest thing that we could get is, besides the personal level, but for the fans or new listeners to dig it, to listen to the album and be able to find some favorite new songs, old new songs.
Yeah, I'm fascinated because, of course, the latest album has blown up so much that you've got this whole new fan base that are just going to discover those songs potentially for the first time. And that's just really interesting. But that's further than the line as the dust begins to settle and we see what people think, because ultimately its success, I no doubt, is measured from your perspective in different ways. Do you have, what would success for this record look like, do you think?
Um, I think for us at this stage is is to see that this get its own recognition, besides of
Hmm.
all the headlines and all the things that we made, and all these places that spoke about us and everything. Just to you know focus on the music and on this album, and like hear us out, because as I said, when I was listening to it, it felt like I'm listening to a voice message from 10
Mm,
years ago from myself.
mm,
And I absolutely think that it makes more sense when they know the backstory behind the album. And it's I know that it might sound crazy, but in some of the songs, it's kind of like we're prophesizing the what
yeah.
can happen, you know it's kind of like some of the songs we're literally talking about the risk and everything that we're facing and all the danger and everything that we knew that what we're doing, because that's one thing after the harassment that was questioned that I heard from very like a few people, but I could hear that mostly in my like personal life, that they were like, but didn't you guys know what you're doing? And we're like, yeah, we knew exactly what we're doing.
Mm,
Okay. But of course, I don't sit home and be like, I'm going to be arrested tomorrow. Nobody does that. But we
yeah.
knew we were doing a political activity against an authoritarian regime, you know, and that's what's make this record very raw and powerful, because it was made with the intent of doing some damage. And yeah, I think that would be something that would be very cool if people can imagine themselves in that situation and kind of like connect with the vibe and the message.
I would almost want, right, like as a listener, to be hear the album not knowing anything about Confess, and you hear it once and you experience it and you get what you get from it, and then you know that you know the story, you know the history, we know everything about it, and then hear it again and just see what those two composing views look like.
Yes, that is very true. I think it would just give it another dimension.
Mm, mm. But yeah, I mean, obviously, what you've gone through, has been incredible, and nobody should ever have to experience what you have done. But it's allowed you to be like this where you are today, incredibly creative, to such an extent that you are in a position to remaster and re-release this record. Positives and negatives, right?
Yeah, exactly, man. I think it is an uh privilege to be able to tell your own story.
Mhm.
I think when we use this phrase, a voice of the voiceless, who is voiceless really?
Mm,
Someone that can't tell his own story, his own struggles, her own
mm,
fight, right? I went through it, I survived it, and now I'd be able to tell my story. And the reason behind it is not just the self satisfactory that I'd be like, oh yeah, now I'm just telling that and that's it. No, it's the reason behind it, reason behind so many of this, besides of the personal motivations and being an artist, and of course like anyone else, you want to be heard and you want to be seen and all that, is to motivate someone that I don't know who you are and I don't know what you're facing in your life, but look at me. I have lots of problems. It's not that, oh, I'm not in jail and everything is great and awesome. Of course, I'm not in jail. And I know that. My life could be worse. I
mm,
probably come out like in 2, 3 years if I was back there, right? But because my sentence first was 6 years and then it got to 12 years and 6 months in jail, okay, and all that. So I understand. But the thing is, I survived it, and I felt like the world just gave me a second chance to be able to inspire, to be able to motivate, and I, I think that is the biggest thing that I can do in my life. To see that someone comes to me and says that song or that album or that thing that I read about you uh, felt me like make me feel like I gotta stand up and like do something about my own life because
Mm.
someone out there is doing the same. Of course, man, it means the world to you. Like it's like it also makes you feel like, okay, I was never really alone because there's also someone out there that feels the same way.
It is going to be a fascinating next couple of months to sort of see how In Pursuit of Dreams reconnects with people or connects with brand new people as well. And we're basically out of time, I'm afraid. So, last one I want to ask you is really like looking ahead and really into 2026. And there's about really is the plan or the desire to be as busy as possible. I mean, you're such a busy 2025. I don't want to be implying that you're going to follow the exact same path in 2026. But what's going on there?
We already have a couple of things lined up that I
Cool.
cannot speak about it right now, but we'll definitely, announce through our social medias and everything. But yeah, I mean, there's a part of me that I feel like I think we should slow down next year. We might just like do a couple of other things and whatnot. And I've been thinking about doing my own debut like solo album and stuff like that. Yeah, it's a different thing, but no, I don't think we would do that because why not? I mean, we literally like lost how many years from 2015
Mm.
till 2022 we couldn't really release anything like that, so I always feel like I lost like 6 7 years. So that itself, it makes you feel like uh, we have to write as much music as possible because we don't know how long we can do that. I know it sounds crazy, but it's just that part of you that feels like I still have a lot to say and I still have a lot to write about. And yeah, I think I will listen to that side of me more than the other side. So yeah, we're definitely gonna play more shows. We definitely gonna start the process of writing the next record. I already have some ideas, and we'll see where it goes. But yeah, more music, more shows, other things I can't really say right now.
Of
But
course,
yeah,
fair.
gonna hear more about Confess.
Either way, it's so damn exciting. I cannot wait to see what comes next. This has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me.
Thanks for having me. It was a great conversation.
Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed what you've seen, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. It does help us out. You can find us at gbhbl.com and across all social media platforms. And if you really want to give us a bit of extra support, please consider buying us a cup of coffee over on our coffee page. Thank you.